Okay, we are now recording.
All right, good afternoon. Welcome to this live broadcast of our virtual meeting. This is the Civil Service Commission of the City of Minneapolis. This meeting includes remote participation of members as authorized under Minnesota Statute Section 13D.021 due to the declared local health pandemic. For the record, my name is Ellen McVeigh and I'm the president of the Minneapolis Civil Service Commission. I now call this meeting to order and ask the clerk to call the roll so we can verify the presence of a quorum.
Commissioner Falk?
Here.
Commissioner Wheeler?
Present.
Commissioner McVeigh?
Present.
3 ayes.
All right, thank you. With that, we will proceed to our agenda, a copy of which was posted for public access to the city's legislative information management system, which is available at lims.minneapolismn.gov. All right, item number 1 on the agenda today is acceptance of the minutes of May 25th, the 2021 meeting. Could I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Okay, so move that we approve the minutes.
All right, could I have a second?
A second.
All right, all in favor? Actually, I'm sorry. Melody, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, I will. Commissioner Falk?
Yes.
Commissioner Wheeler?
Yes, for approval.
Commissioner McVeigh?
Approved.
3 ayes.
All right, thank you. Then those minutes are approved. And I've lost my agenda. Oh, there it is. Okay. Item number 1 under policy and administration, an update regarding the actions taken by the Chief Human Resources Officer, Patience Ferguson, regarding the delegation of authority granted to her during the pandemic. And just for the record, the commission granted Ms. Ferguson the authority to waive civil service rules last spring, so that because of the emergency, if there were actions that needed to be taken between meetings, she would have the authority to do it in order to respond to unusual and unprecedented events in the city. So this report will be a final report, I believe, of the actions that have been taken under that delegation of authority. Patience?
Thank you, commissioners and visitors. Melanie, can you pull up that one pager on the screen? Do you see it? Thanks, Melanie. Well, that's funny. There it is. So what you have in front of you is the work that ensued when we were in our public health emergency. And earlier this month, as you know, both the governor and the mayor rescinded the public health emergency. What you have in front of you is all of the activities that were related to the Civil Service Commission that we took on during that pandemic time. So regarding the eligible lists that were approved, and we do have more detailed information if you'd like to see it, there were 23 eligible lists approved. And I'm happy to report that we had 151 individuals that work for the city that were reassigned. And Joe Hatch, who actually is on here, he was really the person who led a lot of those activities. Worked with a person on his team to put a good process together so that we could ensure that there was timely reassignment, and created a digital platform actually and criteria to make that happen. So I want to personally thank him and Melody and one of his other staff, Tracy, for doing that work. And that was, we were able to give you a quick example of one that happened. We had to during the civil unrest resulted in quite a bit of heightened activity with our 311 staff. And so we had to get some additional staff to really help to deploy them to be able to support all of the different types of calls that they were getting. And so Joe was able to work with our HR business partners, work also with Tracy to actually get employees who could do some of the non-essential functions of the job deployed to do those. And then through the work of the city clerk's office and convention center, we were able to create a makeshift site for those folks to work. And that took a great deal of coordination, but it also provided some much needed help to part of our workforce and also ultimately the community. So that's an example of a REMA assignment that occurred that was very successful. We also, as you know, went through a hiring freeze. And so that was in effect from March 31st through December 30th. And that was as a result of the cost containment measures we had to put in place as a result of the pandemic. Our goal was to save approximately $23 million in salary savings, of which 21 million were realized. And so we, through the work of Deb Kruger and a team, including the Human Resources Department, also the City Coordinator's Office and the Budget Office, we, and ultimate approval had to be with the mayor and the council president. There was a total of 152 waivers seeking the exception to the hiring freeze, and 141 waivers were approved and 11 were denied. And those waivers granted consisted of approximately, exactly about 193.5 permanent positions. The other part of the cost containment strategy was to offer early retirement incentives. And so we did that in 2 phases. We, thanks to the leadership of a team of HR folks, including Deb Kruger, Holland Atchison, and Ricka Stenerson and Lori Johnson in the finance department, we were able to put a process together based on research, based on what positions were likely to consider early retirement, and then putting a racial equity lens on that, and also a gender equity lens. We offered early retirement incentives in 2 phases. Of the 504 employees who were eligible, 165 opted to take the incentive, which was 32.7%. And the retirements occurred from January through April of 2021. I again want to thank the number of people who pivoted. Deb Kruger provided tremendous leadership on that in terms of getting the research done. Actually presenting, we presented that to the mayor and the council to show what the actual savings would be, and then followed up with a report to them. And we did that in 2 phases because we wanted to make sure that it didn't cause any unnecessary hardship to the enterprise. And last but certainly not least, but this is a recognition that we, through the city attorney's office, through the public health department, as well as through the public works department, the Minnesota Orchestra approached them because both of those departments had people who were essential workers. And so they wanted to honor them by having a concert. And we went through the necessary channels, and the concert is going to occur this week on a Friday. So it's a wonderful opportunity for our employees to get recognition by having a free concert by the Minnesota Orchestra, honoring them as frontline workers. And so we reviewed the Civil Service Rule 11.3 and determined that this was strictly to recognize the critical work that the Department of Health and Public Works employees have done and continue to do on the front lines of the pandemic, and it was not in direct conflict of that particular rule. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have at this time.
Commissioners, any questions?
Only it looks like a whole lot of work that you guys did. I'm telling you, beautiful.
It was a lot of work, and it doesn't even begin to, the other things that happened, we had to pivot and create leave programs specifically designed for our employees who were affected by the pandemic. So this was definitely a year that Human Resources, and I know that our partners in the attorney's office, I can't begin to thank the city attorney's office for being strong partners with us, whether it was looking at ordinances, whether it was giving us advice in terms of employment law, really providing that great expertise that we needed. We really pulled together as a support team to really try to work on behalf of the city and also on behalf of all of the employees. And so we know, and so now we're in a mode where we are looking at the next normal. Instead of calling it the new normal, we're calling it the next normal. In terms of looking at what we need to do as a city, we're not going to ever be the same. Employees are having different expectations. So we have a team of folks who are really working in partnership with, we have a team that's working on looking at how we can get people to return to work and still hopefully create an environment where people are safe and people can have some degree of flexibility as they transition.
Okay, good, wonderful work.
Well, I really want to thank you, Patience, and also Joe Hatch, also Deb Kruger, and the other employees that you've named. I mean, this is a remarkable effort in a just horrific year for both the civil unrest following George Floyd's murder and also the pandemic. It's just been stressful beyond belief, and it just sounds like the Human Resources Department was just at the heart of that, needing to come up with a timely and appropriate response that really took into account the employees of the city, and that you've done a beautiful job.
Yeah.
So I really, really want to thank you, and on personally and on behalf of the commission as well.
Right.
Well, I will express your thanks and definitely give the feedback to our team in the Human Resources Department. Thank you very much.
Well, please, thank you. All right, item number 2 under policy and administration is does not really need a vote, but I just thought that it was important to acknowledge that the emergency orders, as Patience pointed out, from the state and the city have been terminated. And so the resolution that the Civil Service Commission took last spring to delegate authority to the Chief Human Resources Officer pending the termination of the emergency order, that delegation has ceased because the emergency orders have now been lifted. So the power to waive civil service rules and to make the other decisions that are within the jurisdiction of the commission has now returned to the commission. Okay, under discharges and appeals, we have item number 1, final. Oh, I'm sorry, Melody, we probably want to switch and go to the closed meeting. Is that correct?
Correct. Commissioner McVeigh, you would need to close this meeting out.
Yes. So the next portion of this meeting contains private personnel data. It is regarding disciplinary proceedings. So this upcoming portion of the meeting will be closed pursuant to Minnesota statute section 13D.05 subdivision 3B. And the reason that closure is allowed is to conduct disciplinary proceedings. Accordingly, we will close the open part of the meeting, and just because of the technology involved, we'll need to log back in. I believe that's correct, Melody, and then we'll do the closed portion without the public being present.
Correct. So we will adjourn this meeting and I will stop recording, and then we will reconvene in the closed meeting.
And so we just click on the same link, is that correct?
You will leave this actual meeting and you will click on the 2:15 meeting that a second meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. Yes, I'd forgotten the mechanics of it. Thanks for reminding me.
Okay.
Okay, we'll reconvene shortly. This meeting is now adjourned.
Okay.